Well, happy Fun Day Sunday. Meteorologist Mike Prangley. Always great to be with you. And I tell you what, we're looking out at the beaches and you see a little shimmy there, a little shimmy, shake, shake, shake. Yeah, we got a wind advisory kicking in as we head into this afternoon. And right now, it's still the calm before the storm. You can see a little filtered sunshine there. And really, the more sunshine we see this afternoon, the more unstable the atmosphere. So that can kick those winds up pretty good. So the big thing to remember is, yeah, we can do our bike rides. We can get in some plans this afternoon. You know, this is a 3-day weekend for most of us. But as we get toward 3, 4 o'clock, yeah, we have to make sure we get back home, make sure everything's tied down. One of those days where, yeah, we could have some flying trampolines with some wind gusts up over 50, 55, 60 miles per hour as we head into late afternoon and to this evening. So any loose objects you want to make sure are tied down in the yard. Okay, this is going to be a brief burst of wind. And really this afternoon storm is going to be a big wind maker. Okay, we see these with the squall lines that come through Florida. Today, though, don't be surprised. There could be a couple thunderstorm warnings. And with the wind shear out there, these storms, there's going to be a couple of them that will rotate. So don't be surprised if we get maybe a brief isolated tornado warning or two just due to the rotation. And it's going to be probably Doppler indicated, but we still can't rule out some of that rotation reaching the ground briefly. But again, this is a setup for a squall line of storms, straight line winds, quasi-linear line. I don't want to get too technical with you, but looking at the latest here, we're seeing low Cape values, instability, and high wind shear. So yeah, a classic setup for those gusty winds of 40 to 60 miles per hour. So as you look at our weather impact alert, well, we've been talking about this since Tuesday on Good Morning Jacksonville, right? I said, well, I think most of the weekend was going to be good, but yeah, as we go into Sunday, we got to keep alert. And sure enough, nothing has changed. We've kept by our forecast. It looks like things are verifying. I'm hoping that we can get the needed rain, okay, without the severe weather, and that's still a possibility. But again, we're going to keep our guard up for those damaging wind gusts and lightning. That's my big two. Had to put in a brief tornado just due to the wind shear and some rotation, okay, with those. But these are not the supercell thunderstorms that can bring a widespread severe weather outbreak. This is isolated tornadic activity, brief spin-ups at best. And of course, we're going to be streaming here on First Coast News Plus. And good news right now is we said, yeah, we can get in some of those plans. We're talking about the big line that's coming our way, still back toward Panama City. And now you have some colors on the map. So you see the radar key there. And I want to thank Katrino here, our producer, and he's doing it all, directing actually here, doing it all. Thank you, Katrino. And as we look at the overall radar, you can see the little red box there. That's the tornado warning just north of I-10. And then we've got the orange where the severe thunderstorm warning is, where we could see some wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So I think this is really telling us what we could see in our area. Okay, so we're talking about mainly damaging wind gusts, and that's what we're seeing out toward Panama City. And there's the lightning. So there's my big two, and then there's that rotating storm. So the Weather Service, better safe than sorry. It's Doppler indicated, so they'll put down that brief tornado warning out there toward I-10 and Panama City. Now, if you're in Waycross to Lake City, Columbia County, we'll be the first to watch this line move our way, but we still have a little bit of time here. Let's take a look at our Futurecast. Get right to what you need to go. We don't waste time here. So we got Waycross here. You're looking at what it'll be at 2:30. So right now we're at 11:04 a.m. We still got another 3.5 hours before that line gets closer. And really the strongest part of the line is still west of Waycross at 2:30. So you see the purple here. This is the high resolution model that's done really well. So, you know, the in-house model maybe a tad quicker, but I think this is pretty accurate here. So I'm going to go with this model, and there it is. By the time we get to 3:30, 4 o'clock, that was the forecast all along. We get toward 4 p.m. That's when we could have our first severe thunderstorm warnings in our area. And notice that line extends from Waycross to Lake City. All right, and we'll be watching for those bows. So where the line bows out a little bit, and you see those little notches, you see that would be where we see some of the rotation. And those are the areas that we could see the damage wind gusts and maybe a brief isolated tornado. Then that line will steamroll to the east. Okay, so Brunswick, Camden, Glenn County by 5 p.m. That's Duval, Nassau County. We got to make sure we're in our safe spots, make sure we get the boats back to shore. I know it's been an amazing weekend so far, but want to get everything really done, especially for our coastal counties by 4 o'clock today. Then by 5, 6 o'clock, 5 to 6 p.m., that's when I'm expecting most of the wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour. And you see that rain chance at 100% for Jacksonville, no doubt about it. As I look at the the most lift in the spin in the atmosphere based on the latest models here in the last hour. A couple areas I pinpointed would be Alachua County, Gainesville, and toward Keystone Heights. You see a little purple nugget there. So that would be some of your higher winds. So Gainesville really to Keystone. And then another area I had up toward Nassau County. Okay, watching I-95, especially Yulee to about Kingsland. St. Mary's had another area hatched in there. And then I think that would be, just to the north and west of Jacksonville here as we look at between 5 and 6 o'clock. So those are things we'll be watching. What areas are most prone to seeing some of the damaging wind gusts. It's not widespread, but there will be some pockets. All right, and then that pocket of strong winds will head toward Nocatee. Ponte Vedra Beach, Palm Valley, we'll be watching that area closely between 6:30 with the strongest line of storms, and of course Jacksonville Beach here. And what I'm picking out here is this line really making its way to the south. So if you're in Flagler County, there's spots south of St. Augustine. So we're watching really St. Augustine between 6 and 7 for the onset of the storms. And then by the time we head to 7 to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, watching areas to the south, including southern Putnam County, watching Georgetown, over to Flagler County. So that's why that weather impact alerts for at least 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And even on the backside of the storm, we know what happens, right? You want to wait at least a half hour behind these big storms before going out and about. There's still a lot of debris in the roadways, and you've got some dangerous lightning out there, the deadly lightning behind the storms as well. So, and those wet roadways. So travel not good really here until about 10 o'clock tonight. Then I'm going to fast forward this overnight. And we weren't talking about rain on Monday all along, so that's verifying nicely. Maybe a few leftover light showers and sprinkles. Brunswick to areas of Yulee, Fernandina, sprinkle about 2 a.m. And then we wake up on our Monday morning, and I'll be with you on Good Morning Jacksonville. I'm going to get everybody ready for all the big events around town. So we got a lot of fun stuff happening, and we'll get that holiday in. But notice a lot of clouds around. You see the model trying to clear us out from Waycross to Lake City? Yeah, we've been there. I've done that before. I'm thinking the clouds will win tomorrow and chillier temperatures in the low 60s. Daytona 500, here we go. And we take a look at folks heading to the south. And I want to make sure they know that, we're talking pretty good weather. So I know a lot of friends that are heading down there this morning. I gave the all clear. Now, coming home could be an issue. I don't think we're going to have a delay. I don't think any rain delays for the race. That 2:30 starts, 1:30 now? So we could have updated that, but that's okay. We covered that on the news and here. By 7 o'clock, some rain to the north, like I showed you, Flagler County. And then Volusia County, I'm thinking after 8 o'clock for most of the rain, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That'll cover Central Florida, Orlando, back to Tampa. So good news for the Daytona for sure. We look at all the ingredients coming together. So I got your forecast, right? First forecast there with the storms coming late day, early evening. Nothing's changed. What's feeding the storms? It's warm out there and it's windy. So we got 73 Jacksonville, 74 Mayport, and out toward Lake City near 70 degrees. We should be in the 60s this time of year. I think some areas could be up near 80. And the dew points that tend to feed these storms, they're coming up a bit, a little marginal there. So it's been so dry, but we will have a plume of moisture, at least feed some of the storms at 61. I have us more in a marginal risk here for severe weather, and we'll talk about those risk areas here. The wind gusts, 30 miles per hour right now. This is big time. So we got a potent front on the way. A lot of wind shear in the lower level. So you see that wind coming out of the south. Well, you go about 10, 20,000 feet above that, and it's turning more to the right or out of the west. Okay, so that's a good setup here for possible strong storms. So the wind, it's going to be a wind maker. This is what you'll remember most of these storms. And that's why I said by 4 o'clock, Duval, Clay, St. John's, Nassau, we want to make sure we have everything tied, make sure all those loose objects in the yard are tied down. I don't want to see any flying trampolines like we tend to show in these sort of setups. So of course, we will keep you updated on that. But stay with us. We're going to take a very short break. I don't like taking breaks. I talk straight for the next several hours. But let's get a quick break in, and I'll be back. I promise. Give me 2 minutes. Yeah, hey, good to be with you, meteorologist Mike Prangley. Hopefully, you got a quick snack in the kitchen here. I'm ready for a little lunch myself. We had to pay a few bills, so that's good. That's always good. Getting a couple commercials in, and we're streaming here live through 11:30, live at 11:13. Let's go right to the satellite and the latest on the watch boxes. So, of course, we're watching for severe weather today. We don't have any watches or warnings at this point. You go to the west, though, and officially where you see that red box, that is our tornado watch. That means conditions are favorable for isolated tornadoes, and that does extend from Panama City toward Tallahassee, the capital city. I would not be surprised to see that red box there shift over us as we head into mid to late afternoon into early evening. So I think we may not be done with those watch boxes just yet. And that means, yeah, the atmosphere is actually prone to severe weather today, and just keeping people on alert today, making sure you stay cognizant and weather aware as we head through the afternoon. But 71 degrees right now. We said, yeah, the calm before the storm, and it's a beautiful day here downtown. Well, we got the high wispy clouds coming in, a dew point of 65, south-southwest winds at 9, and it's just a spring-like feel. One thing to note, look at Orlando, 83 on our travel weather. Today's Tampa, 77. If you're traveling south, there's so many travelers on this long weekend. I-4 area, I-75 toward Tampa. I think the storms will come in more toward 8 to 10 o'clock tonight. So hopefully that helps you. Same with Daytona. Daytona right on the fringes there should be okay for the race. And then you go up to the north, there's Atlanta, 61. Should be clearing out. Nashville, 55. One thing to note, don't see any real Arctic air masses or blasts on this map whatsoever, so that's good news. Now, we take a look at our severe weather outlook. If you're just joining us here, we're streaming live at 11:14. Weather impact alert officially kicking in between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m., all right, to cover the dangerous travel across the area. And you can see really the wind and the lightning are my big two. And put in a brief tornado, okay, had to with all that wind shear out there, but this is not a tornadic outbreak type of setup. This is a wind-driven squall line setup, and that includes really all of us. You see Lake City to Palatka, Putnam County, Keystone Heights. We'll be watching you, our friends in Gainesville as well, Ponte Vedra, back to Fernandina, Brunswick, and Yulee. So let's look at the severe weather. I'm going to break this down here. This is the X's and O's, so to speak, of the severe weather, and you see a scale. So you see 0 through 5 at the top. So when we get the latest from the Storm Prediction Center, keep in mind, you know how we rate hurricanes? Category 1 weakest to Category 5 strongest. Same thing with our severe weather threat scale. Instead of 1 to 5, it's 0 to 5. So I've got a big 2 over us here in Northeast Florida. So that's a level 2 out of 5. Anytime you get to 2, 3, 4, 5, it's a big deal. Okay, so I know they use terminology like marginal, slight, enhanced. That can be confusing. So just know once you get to 2, we got to be on the outlook for not just damaging wind gusts, but isolated tornadoes. And notice Orlando, the I-4 corridor, the storms are coming in likely after dark. So the reason why we're at 2 and it's only 1 in towards Central Florida is because we've got the enhanced heating. Okay, so these storms will have a little extra punch to them. They're just feeding off that heat as they come in with the daytime heating. So that gives you a little more instability as the line moves through. And then as we get into after nightfall, the line kind of loses steam and some of the upper level support and some of that heating it works with. So notice that you won by the time you get to Orlando. Now, as we look at the overall threats, we'll go threat by threat. So we know 1 and 2 out of 5. And then here at home, you got a brown shading for tornadoes. That's a 5% chance of one of those isolated tornadoes. So just think about it this way. You say 5%. Well, that doesn't seem like a lot. But remember, on most days, we're less than 0.05% chance of a tornado. So yeah, it's a big deal. And you see that green shading. Not even Orlando's out of the woods. You got that 2% chance down to Central Florida and really 5% once you get toward areas of Gainesville, St. Augustine line to the north. And that does include Waycross and Brunswick as that line moves through. And then as you look at the wind, real quick. Okay, so we got the wind, we got the tornado cover, right? The isolated threat. And the wind would be the highest threat. So that's why that was top on my scale. And that's a 10% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or greater. So just keep that in mind. And you see the brown shading, maybe some more gusty winds toward Orlando. Hail threat, yeah, close to 0. We look at our forecast rainfall. This is the best story of all today. Oh, we've been praying for rain. We need the rain. This is a good model. This is the one I trust here, so I updated it with your latest amounts. you have to realize it's been a long time since we've seen 1 inch rain about. So St. Augustine included, Palaca. Can we get near 2? Sure. I've got a purple stripe through you under some of those heavier thunderstorms, even Waycross over 3/4 of an inch. So this is great news. 1/2 inch to inch. I said on average 1/2 inch to an inch with some locally higher amounts, and everything's working out just fine. So that brings us to the 7-day forecast. This is it. All right. So we've got 79 today. There's our 90% chance of rain, and then we drop it tomorrow. Yeah, once we get into after midnight, it's just going to be about the cool down. So southwest winds will be a big deal today. South to southwest winds gusting 30, 35 miles per hour. That's ahead of the main thunderstorms with that wind advisory. And then as we go into tonight, of course, we'll watch some of those gusts with the thunderstorms up near 50. And looking at some of the latest data, atmosphere can easily support some 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts and then isolated gusts to 60. So I put a range of 40 to 60-mile-per-hour gusts to cover any damaging wind gusts. And then as we look at the overall picture, lightning, damaging wind gusts is my big 2. And then tomorrow we cool back down to 62. We can get back outside, okay, as we go into our President's Day for all those plans. That's good news, but you will need the jacket again. And the big story is we are warming up. We're in a much warmer pattern. Tuesday back near normal. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Low to mid 80s. So our trivia question, here it is, Katrina. I think we have time for the question before the next break, right? The last time Jacksonville had 1 inch or more of rain. Okay, it wasn't 40 years. It seems like December 7th of 2025, just under 1.5 inches. So I do think we'll have a few spots that check in with over an inch, and that would be wonderful news. And yeah, just keep checking back. I'll give you an update on Good Morning Jacksonville. February precipitation, baby. Let's bring it on, nature. And we've got, since September, a deficit of over 14 inches. Right now, just a little bit of a trickle of rain for the month at 0.06 of an inch, which is a deficit of about 1 1/3 inches. So we look at the overall picture here. We need the rain badly, and we are just gonna, at least try to go head in the right direction is the way we need to put it, because we've got that deficit since September 1st, over 14 inches. So 1 inch of rain, won't really put a dent in it, but at least we're heading in the right direction. You see the deep reds, extreme drought from Fernandina to Palm Coast, Keystone, and back to Lake City. So whenever you have an area that extensive with extreme drought, here it is. Yeah, the fire danger will be an issue. Okay, so today, really the fire issues would be more for the wind, and then tomorrow maybe a little break, and then elevating that fire danger as we head through the week, and especially by late week with all those 80s on the way. So coming up, all right, we're going to take a look and recap what's coming our way this afternoon and this evening, and take a look at why maybe there's some hope on the horizon in that long-range forecast. I'll even have your exclusive 10-day forecast coming up just after this. Hey, how you doing? Good to hang out with you here on this Sunday Fun Day, and it's live at 11:23. We're talking about a squall line of thunderstorms that could bring a few damaging wind gusts. Looks isolated on the severe weather today, not widespread, but that would be between, especially the heart of our area, between 4 and 8 p.m. Okay, so our weather impact alert. Is this a sign of maybe some better news with the drought? We heard about all the doom and gloom this week with this drought. The worst in some areas since 2012, but my glass has been a little more half full. So the other side of the story is our pattern in the atmosphere is changing as we head into the spring and the summer. So the pattern that brought this drought is not going to stick around. All right, so there's our drying, warm pattern. You want to blame the La Nina for that, okay? All right, that keeps that polar jet well to the north due to those cooler than normal equatorial Pacific Ocean temperatures. So that really does a number on the jet stream. And what it does is that keeps the jet stream farther north. Now, why I'm a little more optimistic than most, well, we got warmer than normal temperatures now in the Pacific Ocean developing, especially when you look at the depth of the warm water. Okay, so that's good. And we've had a surge of wind reported over the last week out toward areas of the Western Pacific, so toward Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, and that's a good sign that, yeah, the pattern's changing. So I have hope on the horizon. The Pacific jet comes alive. And today, part of the reason we're going to have some issues with stronger than normal storms, the Pacific jet stream's back. But at the same time, that adds more lift to the atmosphere, and that gives you better chances of rain. So something to watch for as we head into the next few months. Now, rain chances, come on, El Nino. So that El Nino basically developing as we head into spring and summer. Again, that tends to bring lower than normal tropical systems. That's another story altogether. We'll talk more about that next week. But at the same time, brings more rain. And notice, we've got another rainmaker possibly next Sunday. So, okay, we'll take it. Instead of being dry for weeks at a time, at least we're getting back in the right direction. Your 10-day forecast, let's get to the weather. That weather impact alert actually for this afternoon. We've got one cool day this week and then back to the 70s Tuesday, near 80 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there's our next front on Sunday. We got a little bit of rain and then a cool down next week, not this week, with some low to mid 60s. But again, no frosts or freezes. It looks like a new pattern to me. All right. Weather impact alert, though, for today, still in effect, 2 to 10 p.m. officially. And most of Metro Jack's watching the worst of the weather move through between 4 and 8 p.m., including St. Augustine Point South. And there's that wind and lightning threat, the main two that I'm looking at. We're going to move those plans up. Stream on First Coast News Plus, of course, and we'll keep you updated. The overall outlook as we give you a live look, mainly seeing the possibility of 40 to 60 mile per hour winds. So everything's on track. We see the orange shading. That's our thunderstorm warning. And if we see any tornadoes, they would be brief at best in this setup. This is not a supercell type setup or a widespread tornado risk, but notice that's a very isolated tornado warning out there to the west of I-75. So timing it out for you with the latest data, high resolution data, 2 to 2:30. We'll start to see some of that rain move into western Ware County and Clinch County. In that line, that squall line, we're tracking out toward areas of Panama City, and southwest Georgia will move toward areas of Ware County. You see the purple, some of the heavier rain in the wind. So Waycross to Lake City as we head to between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, and then moving to the east pretty rapidly there. Brunswick to Jacksonville between 5 and 6 o'clock, and watching Clay County, Nassau County, and St. Johns County as that line continues to move to the south as we go between 6 and 7 o'clock. So what I'm seeing, latest data still showing main threats, lightning, damage, and wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour. And then tomorrow,